non-stop action.
It's a shitload of blood.
On a Philip K. Dick short story. And with Philip K. Dick, you enter a world which is familiar yet somehow profoundly disturbing.
"85 years ago, beryllium was discovered on Sirius 6B. The scientists finally got the upper hand when they developed the Screamer.
The Screamer is a little metal ball, the original Screamer, able to reproduce itself and designed to search out all living things and tear through them.
It's a little bit like wandering through a whole maze of bear traps. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen.
Unfortunately, in his wisdom, the designer of the Screamer gave his creations the ability to evolve, and that's the problem.
This is where they made them.
Made what?
Screamers. This is the factory.
Actually, this is where they made themselves.
Made themselves?
Screamer production was fully automated ever since it began. No humans have been down here since production started.
This is like taking a platoon and throwing them into the worst environment possible.
Our cast, we've been very lucky with a terrific cast, starting with our star, Gina Holland.
I loved doing sci-fi. I was actually really surprised at what a great script it was. This just had a lovely entertainment value and also human quality.
It was really a challenge to find someone who could, be very strong, as Gina was, but at the same time can play those more thoughtful moments, the more tender moments.
I mean, she's a fantastic character to play, and it challenges a lot of things in myself as an actor, as a person. So anything that sparks interest when I'm reading it on paper, I'm immediately drawn to it. Then I found out that Lance was going to be coming on to the movie, and I just couldn't believe it. I'm such a huge fan.
You look a lot like your father.
You knew him?
Yeah. Joe Hendrickson's one of my best friends. There's a kind of poignant isolation that I felt about a guy that would invent these screamers. In a sense, they were like his children, but they got out of hand. It's like you have no control over your children as they grow up or as they change, as they alter. The smallest improvement or thing that you're trying to do will change the outcome. So it's a little bit like a guy that just fallen into a very fast-moving river, and now he's paying the price. I'm Eugene Orso. I am sorry about your friend. I've lost a lot of friends to the Screamers. People are wrestling with their humanity. And are you afraid to die? Have you done everything you wanted to do? You're going to be more human in the last moments of your life, or you're going to go out like in denial?
What a pleasant surprise. You said you didn't have any fuel cells. You don't want us to go back home.
No, I don't.
My character is forced with the temptation of choice. Great riches and greed become involved.
I see you've been busy. He plays the commander in this mission, so we have a lot of that energy going on, and he's great.
And there's a really interesting kind of subtle power shift as she becomes the unspoken leader of the group, and I sort of struggled to keep that back.
Progress is very expensive, Lieutenant.
Stephen Amell plays Guy, and again, don't want to give too much away here, but he plays one of the generation of survivors that are still on Sirius 6B.
Well, we don't know a lot about Guy. Guy is mysterious. Guy lives in a cave. Guy Guy is the second in command of people that have been on Sirius 6B for some time.
My father left before I was born. I never met him. His name was Joseph Hendrickson.
Colonel Joseph Hendrickson.
Yeah.
You gotta know, he's a legend here.
He's so professional. He's a gentleman. He's terribly smart. And I love that. That's really great. We were able to connect on so many different levels and talk about not only the script, but our own lives, and just really mesh that way. And so it's really great.
Yana plays Schwartz, who is basically the medical officer on board. Tim Rosen plays Madden, who is one of the tech officers. And the two of them, and it's nice, there's a nice subtle romantic friction between the two of them.
You know, I could be a savage.
I can give you something for that. She's tough, she can do this, she can also see suffering or so, but I think once they're out on the planet and all these like terrible things happen and they lose team members, she just realizes she wasn't prepared for that.
The first line I had was that one about the Magellanic, I can't even say it, that stupid storm.
The Class 10 Magellanic Storm.
The Class 10 Magellanic Storm.
And I was like, the first line I had to say, and it was the only one I didn't want to say. And of course, it's first up, and I said like 3 times, the
Class 10 Magellanic Storm.
So I got through that. Within 24 hours, this planet's gonna get hit with a Class 10 Magellanic Storm. Madden doesn't take sides, you know what I mean? He's kind of like the middleman, and he's kind of like keeps everybody together, and there's all different little groups. The Commander and Bronte Sexton, and then, you know, Madden's got, well, he's got his own little thing going on with Schwartz.
You are not hit!
Oh. You see Schwartz here? Okay.
Hannah is also one of the survivors that have been living on Sirius 6B, has grown up ever since a child, knowing the terror of the screamers. Basically affected her personality. She's almost like a 12-year-old child trapped in an adult's body, and that is how she sort of dealt with this terrorizing fear of growing up with these mechanical killing machines.
I thought at the time she would be so much fun to play, and especially when I got into the audition, and Gordon and Sheldon were like, okay, but don't do it straight, like she's crazy, just like talk to yourself here and do this here, and like kind of, you know, scare the shit out of Bronte or whatever, or smell her when she's asleep, like do something crazy. So as soon as they said that, I was like, yes. What's that supposed to mean?
Humans are irrational. But he never does anything without a reason.
The data indicates the transmission did originate in this sector.
He's a bit of a nerd, he's a geek, and he loves what he does. He loves his job.
Take mine.
No, man.
Take it! What are you gonna... Take it! All right, people, we're moving out!
Romulo is, he's no nonsense, take no prisoner, kind of character. If I were to go off on a mission, I want Romulo to have my back.
And it's been a terrific cast, wonderful time working on the show, and all led by our terrific director, Sheldon Wilson, who I've worked twice with now.
The director, Sheldon Wilson, has a particular style. His movies have a taste, have a flavor which stays with you, and people who have seen some of his other work, I think will recognize that in this movie. He has the ability to create and sustain a kind of creepy foreboding. He does it with simple elements. A fairly prosaic scene where characters are walking from A to B. In Sheldon's hands, you're afraid.
Sheldon has been amazing so far because we've been in, everyone's been in a lot of pressure. You know, we don't have a lot of shooting days, and we've been underground, we've been on ferry rides over the open seas every day. And it really takes a general to sort of keep everyone on the same page and keep everyone positive and encouraged.
He talks to you before the scene, he breaks down the scene for you, he explains your character to you. He, even since the audition, when I first auditioned with them, they were so open to ideas and just different ways to take the character, and it opens your eyes up to ways you didn't think about playing something, and it all makes sense.
Sheldon gives you a lot of freedom. You know, if you do something and he doesn't like it, he's able to, he has that director's gift where he can kind of tell you that didn't really work without hurting your feelings.
He gives his directors some room to create stuff, and he said that he very much wanted us to bring bits of ourselves to the script, and even though he respects the word as written, he also gives you room to play, which is nice. He knows what he likes, and if you're heading in the wrong direction, he's not afraid to let you know. And again, I admire anybody that has this ambitious a project on their plate.
The screamers coming at you everywhere, you don't know what to do. He's super chill, and he's like an actor's director, which is good, you know?
Do you believe in screamers?
Only one way to find out. So we got a knife.
I had a girlfriend when I was 16. I'm pretty convinced she was a screamer. I won't say her name, but you'll know who you are.
Welcome to Sirius 6B.
This week we're filming in Dinosaur Provincial Park inside Alberta in the Badlands. And the backdrop we're using is the alien landscape for Sirius 6B. And we're filming all of our exteriors, including the landing of the spaceship in this park. It's a world-famous heritage site that has very unique features, as you can see.
The locations for Screamers 2 have been really exciting because they're actually real mines and real locations with the smells and sounds, and it just adds so much that you can kind of just be absorbed in the environment.
When people see this movie, your core of truth tells you that's the real place. We know the difference. There's a subtle nuances that are the human psyche picks up on it immediately. They're going to know that it is the mine. It is the plains of Alberta and, you know, and Newfoundland, and it's all there. And that is going to bring a reality to this.
Well, the Bell Island mine, which was opened in the late 1900s, and it's incredible. It's on a slope, so it's like a one-floor mine, but on an angle. But it's the size of Manhattan, and it's all like streets and intersections. It's a perfect grid. Now, 9/10 of it is flooded underwater because it goes out under the ocean, but there's still a huge amount above water.
I have a number of phobias. Not that I need to be hospitalized or anything, but heights, not great. Being underground, not great. And see, somehow when I read the script and I saw mine, I didn't think mine, but indeed it is a mine that we shot in. And when I found out that we would be going 1,000 feet or thereabouts underground, it's terrified me. And the lady was doing her little speech about, well, we haven't really had any major accidents. I just had my head on the table and I was just shaking it going, wow. But then you see the scale of the achievement, and you think that these miners for generations worked in the mine, and the horses, and it's like 17-foot high ceilings, and the width is about 12, 13 feet, and that's, you know, dynamite horses in human hands was just, I was awed by the scale of it and the scope of it, and after the first 6 hours of looking up for the light every 2 seconds, going like, how fast could I make it up this hill if I had to?
Finished doing some explosions over there, and we're going to do some explosions for a matte shot here. Run the actors through, so the camera's on a lock-off, and then we go in and put some explosions and then shoot that, so that everything's done safely, and then the CGI guy puts it all together and makes it better. There's even going to be a map in there of a building, horses blowing up and burning down and all that fun stuff.
We used a lot of prosthetics in Screamers 2. And sometimes the tendency now is to focus primarily on CG because it's something where You can think about it after the fact. You can concentrate on making the movie. But I found, especially in a movie like Screamers, to embrace some of the aspects of prosthetics that work really, really well, especially when you're dealing with blood, guts, gore, carnage. You can't beat prosthetics for that.
What attracted us to the project was they already had like this really cool pre-production art that was done by this amazing artist. So I think his name is Mark DeBow. And he did all those cool drawings of what the screamers would look like, and already that was enough to pull us right in, because it was so great with the design with the mouth opening.
2 or 3 hours that it takes to put on, you really become this other creature, Everything about the way you look has changed, and it's hard to recognize yourself under it all.
It is prosthetic heavy, and time of preparation is very, very ambitious for sure. And very often, like in bigger budget projects, what happens is that they tend to go to our CGI more and more for some of the effects. And it's really cool here to have the opportunity to do so much in with physical effects.
Well, the prosthetics, oh, that was so cool. They're like pieces of skin and stuff glued to your face, and it makes it really hard to eat and to smile and to do anything. It's really weird. And so we wore prosthetics for when I was a normal girl and when I was a scary screamer girl, and my spikes came out of the prosthetics, kind of. It was cool.
We were the first breed of screamers that developed into human form. And when the screamers created us, our bone structure was off, and our blades and weapons didn't work properly, so our blades would come right through our face instead of where they should. And my hand swells up into an enormous claw and blades, and it's pretty gory.
Just to have them physically on set is a really powerful tool to help with the acting, to interact, to see this thing. The first time we had the human screamer on set, it just upped the performance for the cast. They saw what it looked like, they saw what it could do.
Should be pretty creepy. I remember a scene we shot with a guy's face opening up, and it was a real beautiful job of. It took time. Like all things that are difficult take time, but to have that real one and not a CG is absolutely overwhelming. I mean, when I saw it on the set, I went, "Oh man!" It was like it got me viscerally. So on film, it's even going to be more so, I think, and the CG will only give us that extra air that you couldn't do any other way. That jump.
Deciding on when to use prosthetics, when to use visual effects, at least on a movie like Screamers, it really comes down to time. Working with the prosthetics, I find a lot of times is much more believable. It's much better for the actors, but it's also incredibly time-consuming. A lot of times we would have the capability to do something with prosthetics, but time just didn't permit. So then we would take the prosthetic out, take that physical screamer out, and then actually work with a CG concept. And some actors are better at it than others. We were very fortunate where we had a cast that had worked a lot on projects where CG was involved.
Oftentimes working against green screen, tennis balls, gray balls, all these things. And so yeah, the demand is huge, but if you love it and you're willing to challenge yourself, then bring it. And you can find some really great moments and some really great scenes and a lot of big action that way.
Screamers 2 has a lot of design element that we had to create from scratch. Like for instance, the Medusa, the spaceship. We added our own originality for the purpose of the ship flying, or the way the ship would land, or how the crew would come out of the ship. So the whole design process is an ongoing process from start to finish.
When we're doing the visual effects for the movie, a lot of it is, apart from what we did physically on set and on location, a lot of it is generated through the computer, through CGI. But there's still certain things, even with the technology and the advancements that we have today, that is still better to do with just real physical things. And a lot of the blood and guts that are in the movie, instead of trying to generate that through CGI effects, we spent a very, very fun day and went out and got some, I think it was veal brain and goat intestine, and then I made up a nice mixture of blood. And so we spent a big part of today doing, just scenarios where, when the screamer ball hits someone, like when the woman in the beginning of the movie gets her head taken off. That's where a lot of that is CGI, but when all the guts and everything go through the back of the screamer ball, that's what we did today. So we filled this little container, almost like a ketchup bottle, wrapped that in green screen tape, and filled that with the the guts and the blood, and basically just push that out. And so we get the the blood coming out of the end of the bottle like that.
Well, the whole design with the screamer ball was where the ball could move at very high speed and basically chunk down whatever it was in its path. So the overall process was to have a very, very sharp blades, having something very scary that could move around very quickly.
Get to higher ground! I'll cover you!
We use sometimes the term compositing for generating the output of a visual effects shot. A compositor is someone that gathers all the elements, whether the live plate that was shot during the movie, or the CG elements, and trying to combine everything to get an overall look for the final output.
There's so many of them. I had no idea.
My favorite CG shot in Screamers is the very last, or the second last shot of the movie. There was an idea that we had on set, and we shot it not really knowing if it would work out, and Modus did an amazing job projecting a 2D image inside the 3D cockpit of the spaceship and making it believable that you're actually looking at a 3D environment as the camera spins around in that. So I would have to say there's a lot of CG work in the movie I'm very happy with. But that shot, just I'm very excited every time I see that.